Hey everyone, I'm really excited about our guest here today. She went from having an Instagram account with no website, no email list, to creating and launching a course last year to amazing success. We're going to talk about her results and how she achieved them and all of the people that she's helped. Jen Esquer is here today, and she is a physical therapist in Los Angeles and has been helping people in mobility and fitness, and really excited to hear how she's doing that, how she's helping people online and in real life, but transferring a lot of her real life in-person skills as a physical therapist to online programs like her mobility method. If you want to learn more about Jen or get more fit or understand mobility and bring more mobility into your life and your body, check her out at DocJenFit on Instagram or docjenfit.com. And she's got a new challenge coming up at docjenfit.com/GFM challenge. That's right. Yes. Welcome and happy to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks. So I'm curious, just a little bit about where you've come from and where you're at in business, and even a little bit about mobility, and for those of us who aren't familiar with it, what exactly it's all about.
Yeah. So my platform on Instagram kind of started to build while I was in grad school, accidentally, actually. It became kind of my fitness journey. And once I graduated, I turned that into more education based and started showing people that I actually kind of knew some things about the body, not just how to do cool handstands. So through that, my educational base and my platform just started to grow hugely. And working as a physical therapist in person is awesome, but I realized that I could, kind of help more people if I actually created something that could affect the masses. And creating something that I truly believed in, that wasn't just because people wanted it or wasn't going to look the way some people would think it would look, but really the way that I wanted to bring it to people. And so I created a program called the Mobility Method. And without having, yes, having a big Instagram following was awesome and supportive, but without having an email list, I launched my first program through Thinkific, and it did amazing.
Yeah. And we see a lot of success stories and great opportunities, but I was pretty blown away by everything that happened with you and how quickly you did it. And yeah, without an email list. And that's something I think a lot of people struggle with, is I'm getting started, I don't have a huge email list to put out to. How do I get going? So that's a pretty amazing thing. Can you share any details of how well it went for you?
I can. Yes. So, I probably started building my little email list, just having like an opt-in on my page in September. And then I started really learning about online marketing, because people also think like, oh, having a social media means that you know online marketing, which is complete false. And so I started to try to learn, like, what is an opt-in page? What is all these things? Like, I didn't even know the basics. And then from there, really sat down with people of how I would want to kind of put together the challenge, decided on a gratitude and mobility challenge. And that was awesome because it got people into my why, and then it got them into their why as to why they would want to implement mobility into their bodies, kind of show them what it was. And then I launched right into my program.
And the challenge is free, right?
Challenge was completely free, plus you could win prizes. So I did give away like an Apple Watch, which I bought myself to give away to someone. And I partnered, I'm with a foam roller company, so they also offered up some foam rollers. And and then within a week, my goal for sales was 100. And within a week, I did 1,000 by Friday night. And by the time I cut it off, it was 1,300 sales.
Wow. Excellent. And what was your selling price there?
79.
Wow. That's amazing.
So I did my first ever 6-figure launch the first time I sold.
Wow. That's so I haven't done one of those. Mine are all like my program's been running for 13 years, and it does sort of 5 figures every month and has for 13 years, but I haven't ever had the huge, massive launches. So it's really see people do that. And so that's the revenue side and the success on the business for you. How's the student reaction been for the people who got into the challenge, got into the program? How are they feeling?
Absolutely amazing. And that is like my everything. That's why I have this program. That's why I believe in it so much. It's why I pushed it so much. It wasn't, again, I didn't expect to do that well in sales. That wasn't my intention. That's never my goal. It really is just to get the reach out to people, get people to understand the why behind why this is so important, which mobility, just to quickly go over that, is really, it's what most people think is just flexibility and, being open in your body, but it's way more than passive stretching. It's actually being able to take that range of motion and activate it in any kind of plane of motion. So if I'm standing, if I don't have my hand on the ground, if I don't have a strap pulling up my leg, I can still pull up my leg on its own. And what that does, it opens up your body. You get to see where your restrictions are within your body. Sometimes, like most of the time, I have a lot of people that come in with back pain and they realize that it's coming from their big toe not being mobile or their hips not being mobile. So being able to dive into your own body is so powerful, and really tune in and just get back to that appreciation. And I really went over, when I did the challenge, I talked about, people who have cerebral palsy and move within their full capabilities. Like I know this guy, he lives out of a wheelchair, but he lives on his own, and him having to like get down in his wheelchair and put on his shoes and socks takes like 20 minutes, but he does it himself. And there's another woman who I met who has junior rheumatoid arthritis and can barely bend her elbow to like 90 degrees. And yet she runs and does yoga every day. And so just getting people back into the appreciation of like, you have this capable, able moving body, but we just stop moving into it. What would happen if you started moving into it? What could be the longevity of your health, of your body, of your kids, of all these other aspects in life? And so getting people back into realizing how much they have within themselves and how much that they can get back to was really beautiful, because it gets people back into gratitude and appreciation, and then understanding why this would be so important. So that was like the huge thing for me.
Excellent. Yeah. And it's got to feel great getting all of that feedback from people where you're actually making a real difference in their life.
Oh my gosh, it's everything. It's everything. And again, the program isn't going to be for everyone. Like I designed it in a way that it's not like this perfect 12-step program that you get to walk through. I'm not going to give you what to do day by day. So for some people, it doesn't work. Like some people were like, well, I wanted you to tell me exactly what to do every day. And I'm like, well, guess what? The body doesn't work like that, because you could have the same diagnosis as someone, but have different limitations within your body.
Right.
So being able to dive in and find out what your body needs is the whole intention and the whole purpose behind it. And then it's a program for life. So you can always refer back to it at any time if something arises or something pops up or new restrictions happen. And so getting people back to understanding that you have your own control of your body. We're all different. We're all unique. and that's why I created the program that I did. That's why I believe in it so much. That's why I push it so much, is because it really is just giving awareness to people.
Excellent. And so I know this kind of thing has made a big difference for me in that I had a recent vacation to Hawaii where my daughter wanted me to pick her up constantly on the beach. And I wasn't able to because something went out in my back, and I was like, oh, and I'm used to being like, I go kiteboarding and snowboarding and, play all sorts of sports. So I'm used to being super fit. And it made me realize I've been stuck at my desk too much. So I started moving a bit more, got into stretching my hips. And within a couple of days, I was able to pick her up again, but it really can, it can have an impact on your life. So
100%. Yeah.
It's pretty great that you get to help people that way. So I want to go back and talk a little bit how you got here, because, for anyone who's earlier starting out or even who's already into building their business, there's a lot we can learn from you. So going back a little bit to, when you started this, you didn't have an email list or even I think a website, but you had an Instagram account. So how did you quickly build, because you built that up in a fairly quick period of time. What were a couple of the quick wins you did to get that growing?
Well, I will say that I got lucky too with Instagram. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of consistency, but I didn't mean to build an Instagram. So I was in grad school, actually. I met some calisthenic guys that would work out in Venice Beach, and they invited me down to work out with them. And one of the guys, the main guy who would host this, he happened to have 300,000 followers, which 4 years ago was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so he would post anyone within the calisthenic community. And from there, I started to grow, which is still the same today. If you collaborate with someone who is a larger audience and has a bigger reach and has actually engaged people, that is how you're going to grow. So to everyone, I would say, don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to like show how you can like help support them. Do you need them to video? Do you need like start building a relationship?
Yeah.
And you'll be surprised, like you'll be able to collaborate, they'll be able to post you, and your following will be able to grow. I helped someone grow within a month to 2,000 because I was collaborating with him and I was posting him. So it can happen. It's harder now because there are a lot of people, but if you continue to put out good information, it's going to grow. So in grad school, I grew based on fitness.
Yep.
And then once I graduated, I kind of hit a plateau and I didn't care about it because I was like, this was a side hobby. It was just for fun. I'm a PT now. And then a friend was like, people think that you're a yogi and you know the body. So just start putting like yoga poses that are like anatomy based. And I was like, I don't know how people are going to respond. So we'll see. And I also had a fear around, well, I'm a new PT. I still have so much to learn. Who's going to want to learn from me and all of that kind of stuff. But eventually I just did it. And I kind of followed his format of the anatomy picture next to the video, and it took off. And from there I learned, okay, people actually want to learn. And as much as I think I don't know enough yet, I know a lot more than other people know about the body. So being able to just put out, even if for me it's basic, especially at the time when I first started, it helps so many people because everyone has knowledge that someone else is going to need, or someone else is looking for, someone else is seeking. So don't be afraid to put out what you know. And as soon as I started to do that and I stayed consistent with it, I grew like 300,000 within a year.
Wow. And that was you posting, I think you were doing a daily video?
Yeah, a daily video. Or sometimes I would post a picture, but I really tried not to miss a day.
Yeah.
And it's all about consistency. You never know what video is going to hit. I remember I had one video that hit 1 million views, and it was for me, it felt stupid. It was like this hip opener that was like, I was like, oh, I don't want to show the same stretches, so I'm going to show it on the ground. And I did it in a cool way, and that took off. And I was like, what? Like I didn't plan for that. So you never know.
That's where the consistency comes in, is you're out there and then eventually something clicks.
Something's going to hit. And within that week, I grew 40,000 followers. And that was all organic. I had people like, you bought followers. And I'm like, well, you can think that, but I didn't.
Yeah.
My whole growth has been extremely organic. I've never bought anything. I've never purchased anything. And when you stay consistent, you also have to understand that social media is like a billboard. So post something that's going to be a little bit more attractive to the eye, post something that's going to be catchy, which is why the anatomy photo next to the video works great, because it kind of pulls people into like, oh yeah, that's the spot that I have pain. Now I need to watch this video. So being like, you just got to be attractive and consistent with it. Not attractive in like how you look, but just like attractive to the eye of like, that's going to be catchy. That's going to be something that catches my eye. It's going to catch someone else's.
Okay, excellent. So you took that time, you were consistent with it. You built up a following on Instagram, but didn't have a website or an email list or real business. This was just putting it out there and seeing what would happen with it. And then you decided, hey, let's put together a course, the mobility method. Well, first you did a challenge, then you did a course. So how was that process of what did you do to create and launch a course? And really quickly, how long did it take you from sort of, I'm starting now to it's launched?
I think I decided in summer that I wanted to bring something. So this was probably around July, August that I decided of last year, 2017, that I decided I wanted to kind of bring something together that I can put all in one place, rather than like, I get so many questions and I'd be like, oh, I posted about that, scroll back. I posted about that, scroll back. So it's like, instead of having just a messy Instagram where it's like, everything's all over. I wanted to concise everything and kind of bring it together. Plus, what I do when I see clients in person, I mean, I'm doing a lot of neurological based stuff, which is too hard to put into a program and so specific, but I also get people back into like what's restricted first, because we got to get out of these restrictions before we add strength and movement onto it.
Right.
So that was something I was really passionate about. And I noticed that all my mobility videos always did better. People gravitated toward that for me naturally. And so I asked my audience, I did a survey and I asked them 6 simple questions based on like what they do now, what they'd want to see from me. Mobility was the number one thing. I did an Instagram live and I asked again, what would you guys want to see from me? They all said mobility. So I knew that not only was it something I believed in and I wanted to bring, but it was something that my audience really wanted. So I was smart in terms of like listening to what my audience would want. And then I think in September, I put in the opt-in page and I just did lead pages and I put something up real quick so that I had it in my bio to like, but I even didn't do that smart, because you should have a free product, something that they're going to get when they opt into the email. I had none of that. I had no animations. I had no sequences, nothing.
It was just put in your email if you feel like it.
Yeah, it's like if you want to opt into my newsletter, something might come. That would be fun. I had no newsletter consistently. And then I decided, okay, I want to put together this mobility course. I wrote it out in a day of what I want to create. I reached out to my friend who would shoot it, and we spent a day shooting it. And then I kind of so I already had the program and I was like, okay, Thinkific is going to be where I host it. This is going to didn't have anything together, didn't have a sales page, didn't have anything. And then I sat down with someone and I said, this is my idea for my challenge. I think it's a cool idea to get people like involved, and that's how I can build my email list is to do a challenge. People have to opt into the challenge. So it's not going to be a challenge I post on Instagram, which is what I was used to doing. If I was going to do a challenge, I always like posted what I was going to do on Instagram, and then they would follow along hopefully from there. But this way it gives it a lot more accountability of like, you have to opt in, you have to look for my email, and you have to follow along there in order to see the challenge. So I did that, and I decided to bring in the gratitude aspect into it because I wanted people to get the appreciation and the understanding. And then from there, I followed the launch sequence with Jeff Walker.
Yep.
His book launch. I literally like to a T what he says to do, I did.
Excellent. Wow.
And it's all about tapping into mindset the correct way. And so for the challenge, I promoted like 8 to 10 days before. And I reached out to friends. I created like Canva ads for stories. And I said, would you mind sharing this free challenge in your story, which goes away in 24 hours and everything. And so I reached out to a lot of friends, and I luckily have amazing people around me who, were able to promote it. And from that challenge, I got 11,000 opt-ins.
Great. Wow.
So built up my email list like that.
Yeah. And that was the free challenge that had some of the prizes, but it was free and they got a lot of value out of it. And so I'll just say you're running another challenge coming up. So anyone who's interested in mobility and checking out either how you do all of this, or is like me, just interested in better mobility in life, and always being better, more fit, check out docjenfit.com/ is it GFM challenge?
Yeah. GFM
Grateful
challenge.
for mobility challenge. So GFM challenge. So, or just docjenfit.com/ GFM challenge.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So you ran that challenge, and if people want to see how that was run, they could actually go check that out now. And then going from that led into your actual program mobility method, right?
Yeah. So then I launched the mobility method, and I stayed consistent I did lives like 3 times a day for Instagram. I probably bugged people a lot, but I also, every single time I did an Instagram live, as resistant as I was, like, oh my God, people already saw me. Like, what are they going to think? Every time I talked about it, people were able to really feel that this was something I care about. This is something I'm connected with, and they were able to connect with me. And when I built that connection with, this is not just like, I'm not trying to sell you. I'm literally just trying to help you.
Yeah.
Like, that is purely where I'm coming from. And so every time I was able to connect on that level with people, more sales would come through. And it's not about the results. It's not about getting that many sales. I knew that the results were going to come because I was connecting.
Yeah.
Anytime I've felt disconnected with my audience in how I'm coming across and what I'm saying, if I don't feel connected to my why am I doing this, the results show, and it doesn't work. So It really has to come from like a deep passion of like what you want to do, what you want to bring, and why you're bringing it. And then people will be able to feel that.
Yeah. And in everything I've seen you do, it really bleeds through from everything I've seen you put out there. And so that, I think you're right. People will see that. They're more likely to want to work with you. They're going to get more value. You're going to feel better about what you're doing. And, and you get a greater reward than just business success. You get everything you talked about at the beginning of all of being able to change all these people's lives, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that was, and even just the fact that I was connecting and writing back to people, and like some people, you know, they're physical therapists, and do they necessarily need the program? No. Some people did learn from it still. Like, I have a lot of personal trainers and stuff that buy the program because they want to learn. But some physical therapists, they're not going to need the program. They're probably going to know the information already, but they bought it because they were so grateful that I connected with them all the time. And I wrote back, and I just showed up the way that I did. And I got support just from people wanting to support me, which was absolutely amazing too.
Excellent. So you went through that process and launched the course. We talked a little about that went exceptionally well. By the end of the time you closed, it was 1,300 people signed up for it or purchased it. And then, if there's other stuff you want to share, sort of what happened after that, but also really curious in that whole process, any sort of fails or opportunities for improvement or things that you totally do better or different or are doing different after that, or just advice you'd give to other people going through that process that would have saved you time or effort or energy or had better results?
Don't procrastinate.
Yeah, that's the best one. There you go.
I literally was doing my sales page the night before I was.
Wow. And yet it all worked out. And so I asked this before, but like from the day you started shooting video to the day you launched the course, how long was that roughly?
Like 2 months.
Awesome. So it can be done, and you're doing other things at this time, right? This wasn't your full-time, or were you full-time for 2 months?
I was treating clients probably 4 to 5 days a week.
Wow. Okay. So you got full-time job and you're doing this, and you got it done in two months from start to launch with that kind of success. That's amazing. So procrastination, definitely, that's a good one. Other stuff that you would say it would be advice or things you learned going through that process that could be done better or you do better, or advise people? If someone is watching this saying, I want to go and do this, what would you say?
Yeah. I would say, honestly, don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Put yourself out there to the max, because that is literally what created this success in terms of being able to connect with people and being able to have people feel that, again, not just from the numbers, but just the success in having people connect to the process. And I also was not afraid to reach out and get help and ask for it. So I reached out to someone named Lori Harder, who's been in the game for a while, and she does amazing with her online programs and just her presence and everything. She's very, and she sat down with me for 4 hours going over how I would launch, which was like priceless. I can't say enough like how much gratitude I have for that, but I just took a leap. I was at a conference that did no good for me. It was really just a sales pitch the entire weekend. So I was like, okay. The one thing I did get out of it though was just like, go for it. Just ask, find out what's going to happen. That was from Jesse Itzler. He did like a really good presentation.
Nice.
I don't know if you know do you know who he is? Sarah
It's
Blakely's
no.
husband.
Okay.
He wrote a book on like living with like a Navy SEAL or something, but he's
Oh, okay.
hilarious.
So yes, I have watched
Yeah.
some of, yes. Okay. Yeah.
He's hilarious, but he's just amazing. Like he literally is like the epitome of like fake it till you make it kind of thing. Like I'm just gonna say I do this and we'll see what happens and like just
Right.
keep going. Just
And
keep
when you think you're done, you're
apologize
only like
later.
40% done or something. Yeah.
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 He's incredible. But so his speech really like gave me the power to just be like, okay, I'm just gonna ask. I'm just gonna see. I'm just gonna find out. So I asked Lori, and she was like, yeah, great. Let's set up a date. Let's get together. And so she really helped me solidify like when I was going to start the advertisements, what my mobility challenge would really look like, and when I would launch. So she helped me like write down exact dates, exactly how this would look like, and everything. And so grateful for that. So I would say, don't be afraid to ask. Any of my friends that come to me at this point now who do social media and want to learn how to launch a program, I am there with them and I am helping them, even though I'm still learning myself.
Yeah.
Like I'm very open, and most people who have an abundant mindset are going to be super open to really helping. So I would say, reach out, ask. Don't be afraid to ask. And don't be afraid to put yourself out there. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to do another live. I'm going to do another one. I'm going to talk about this again.
Yeah.
But every time I did, I was able to connect with people. And that is when people can feel that connection, you're not afraid to go out there and really show yourself and be expressive and show your why. It's everything.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I love that you said sort of at the start too, that you weren't sure, that you were new at physical therapy and weren't sure if, do I know enough to go and teach other people?
Mm-hmm.
And yet I think most of us struggle with that, almost the imposter syndrome of like, am I good enough to go out there and put myself out there and teach others? And yet I think people learn best from, like, a lot of my business advisors have told me, don't go looking for the person who's 10 years ahead of you. Look for the person who's just a few steps ahead or a year ahead of you. And that's really the advice you need. Someone 10 years out is giving you often sometimes the wrong advice because they're too
Yeah.
far ahead. So you want the
Right.
person who's just gone through what you're about to go through, who's just a little
True.
further ahead. So you don't need to be the, ultimate expert in a field to get out there and actually help people go those next few steps in their life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, not to say that you're probably a lot further than a few steps ahead of me on this stuff, so, but I think I can still learn lots from you on mobility. So I'm going to sign up for this challenge. So I was really torn up when my little girl wanted me to pick her up, and I couldn't do it because of my back. So it's good now, but I don't want to ever be there again. So I'm going to sign up for the challenge. So
yay, excited.
docgenfit.com/GFM challenge.
Yes.
I will check that out, sign up, or just docgenfit.com.
Yep.
And for anyone else who's watching too, at docgenfit on Instagram as well. I'm going to sign up for it and take it. So what's next for you? Where you've got this program coming up, this challenge coming up. What's the future look like? Where are you going? What ideas do you have for the future that you're thinking?
Right now it's just learning how to get that reach out there. Cause again, I want everyone to know about mobility. I want everyone to be able to open up into their own bodies and start appreciating and learning why that's so important. I mean, I say all the time, it's like, you brush your teeth every day because you don't want cavities and you don't want your teeth to fall out. It's like, why aren't we specifically moving into these restrictions that our body needs? On a daily basis. And it really, like, once you start to understand what your body needs and you start to feel those things, you can add one exercise in the morning. Like, it doesn't take like an hour, which most people think, it's not like I didn't create this program to take up a large portion of your day, because believe me, I don't have a large portion of my day. So I get it. It's really just to teach you how you can implement it anywhere in your life. It's just about finding what is best for your body and moving into that. So being able to get the reach out to more people is what I'm working on, and learning how to optimize and then we'll see. And maybe I create something new and different. Right now I do have a little subscription-based program as well. And that is kind of like a peek into my daily life. I do, there's functional HIIT workouts, mobility flows, and core stability workouts. And those are 4 different, one of each, that change every month. So that's also out there. People want just like a quick workout and then like learning how to truly engage the core, and just some simple mobility flows that tap into every part of the body. So that's also out there.
Excellent. Awesome. Great. Well, for everyone here who's interested in learning more about that, I love the way you put it with the brushing your teeth, because that really hits home for me. Is like, yeah, I don't have a lot of time, but I do brush my teeth. So I probably should be doing a little bit of this every day, because it actually probably has a bigger impact on my body than brushing my teeth. So, and my general well-being. So I will be in that challenge, and anyone else who wants to join me in there too. And Jen, it's docgenfit.com/GFM challenge, or just docgenfit.com. Anything else you want to share?
I hope everyone moves today if they're listening.
Thanks. I really appreciate it. Thank
Thank
you.
you.